I'm going to let you in on a little personal secret that very few people know. I used to use confidence as a mask to hide deep anxiety. I'd often avoid going out in public places alone in case I bumped into someone that I knew. Someone once asked me why I was so anxious about it. What was the worst that could happen? And for me, I think it was being caught off guard. Because if I hadn't have played out at least 15 different conversation angles in my head before seeing someone, I would just feel anxious and underprepared. Now, that might sound crazy to some of you, but for a lot of people, that probably sounds like the norm too. The way I dealt with it was either to avoid circumstances where I might be unprepared, or to be overly confident to compensate. Fast forward to more recently, I've discovered a way to feel genuine confidence. Not anxiety in disguise, but real, understated, and unwavering confidence. And I didn't even get rid of anxiety completely either. So, how did I do it? Well, I did it through intuitive living. And in this video, I'm going to share what intuitive living actually is and how you can use it to gain more confidence. I recently did a poll on the YouTube community tab asking you guys what you're struggling with the most. 3 answers stood out, and one of those answers was confidence and motivation. Now, confidence and motivation go hand in hand because I bet a lack of confidence often looks like a lack of motivation. You think you need more motivation, but actually, you just need more confidence to take action. Even personally, so even starting this channel took confidence, not motivation. The motivation was there. If that's all it took, I really would have done this years ago. So what changed? Well, when I started living more intuitively, something kind of shifted. There was a kind of knowing of sorts that come with it. And that knowing, it can't be shaken by anything outside of you. It brings with it a quiet confidence that's unwavering. So first, what is intuitive living? Well, intuitive living, it means making decisions based on your intuition, that gut feeling or instinct that we all have. And I bet we've all had times where we've ignored that gut feeling and ended up paying the price. So why don't we trust it? I think it's because it's subtle. We can easily second guess it because it can feel vague and hard to define, and at times it's not even that rational. So, can we really base important decisions on something so intangible? Well, the answer is yes, but you need to practice becoming more aware of it. Intuition is like a muscle. You have to train it in the small everyday stuff if you want it to guide you through the bigger decisions in life. And this is how you do that. Step number 1 is start feeling every decision. Let's say you're at the supermarket and you've got your shopping list, and on your shopping list you've got the ingredients for roast chicken, which is what you'd planned to cook that day. But when you get down the meat aisle and see all the different meats, you see the beef and think, oh, I really fancy beef instead. Well, go with that gut feeling. It's not life-changing. It's not a life-changing decision in the slightest. But it is a choice that you can make based on how you feel and not just what makes sense on paper or your shopping list in this instance. And step number 2, don't be hard on yourself. Sometimes you'll make bad choices when following your feelings, and that's okay, because this is why I recommend practicing intuitive decisions on the small stuff first. If you buy wine midweek, or if you buy cake when you're on a diet, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either. You'll need to make a few bad decisions in the beginning because that's how you learn. That's how you learn to tell the difference between what is an intuitive nudge and what is an impulsive craving, because initially the two can look very similar. And while you're being kind to yourself, make sure you're learning. So don't just use it as an excuse to keep buying cake or wine. Step number 3, look back at pivotal moments in your life. Most of our big life choices involve intuition on some level. Try looking back at those times in your life. Can you remember how that intuitive nudge felt? I remember for me personally, when I was deciding whether to move to the city from the small town that I grew up in, I made a list of pros and cons, and basically it was 50-50 on this list, so it was not very helpful at all. But there was one thing on the pro list that outweighed everything else on the con list combined. It simply said, I just feel like I want to move there. And that feeling was what made the decision for me in the end. And I believe if I ignored that, I would have lived in regret. So, how does intuitive living create confidence? When you decide to trust your intuition, it gives you a sense of knowing, a quiet certainty in the flow of life, that you are exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. And that kind of knowing doesn't need to be justified. It doesn't matter if no one else gets it. It doesn't even matter if you fully understand it. But by trusting it, you're stepping into a kind of power that doesn't waver. Now, I'm not saying it will get rid of your anxiety or insecurities, because this is a confidence that happens despite them. And that gives you a choice to embrace that confidence over your fears. I know with more certainty than I can even explain that starting this very YouTube channel is just part of my path, and I trust that. I don't need to know the outcome. I'm not hung up on the past or worried about what's next, to be fair. I just know that this is the right thing, and whatever happens, happens. And you can have that confidence too. It's not magic. You won't wake up tomorrow as a completely different person with no insecurities. But you can tap into a cosmic kind of confidence and use that like a tool almost. When you've already got the motivation, intuitive living helps you find the confidence. And when you've got both, you become unstoppable. Would you like to know a proven brain trick that rewires your mind to see more opportunities? If so, watch this video next. It's inspired by a life redesign course that's actually taught at Stanford University.